Okay guys, we're back, and we are going to be telling you guys everything that we learned from the Force of Law Warbond as I've been testing it out all day. There's been some interesting finds, and it's definitely one Warbond that's left me on the fence. I really was excited about it, but also have got a few gripes towards it as well. So this one's kind of left me on a bit of a 50-50. So in this video, we're going to be giving you guys the do's, don'ts, goods, and bads of everything that we have tested inside of the game. A massive shout out to Arrowhead for providing me with the fully unlocked Warbond at release, as it makes it so that I can do content like this for you guys. If you haven't already, smash that beautiful like button, subscribe with post notifications turned on. It'd be greatly appreciated, and make sure you keep an eye on the screen as we're doing the giveaway here on the channel. There'll be a random icon that pops up at some point. Pop that emoji in the comment section, it'll enter you in. Let's dive into the game and see what it is that's bringing forward in the new Force of Law Warbond. Now we are going to be breaking this down into segments of all of the weapons and everything in tow, but overall this Warbond is pretty much a support based Warbond. It's focused mainly around crowd control and not hitting harder. This is not going to be one of those where you can utilize it as a solo mechanic. It's definitely more of a support stratagem, support weapon, support characteristic Warbond. It's what it focuses around, and I think if that's what they were going for, then this would have been a success. Although there are still a few issues. Starting off, we've got the primary weapon, the Pacifier. Now, this is a full auto, medium armor penetrating stun auto rifle that I was praying was going to absolutely pack a punch. Although, unfortunately, this thing definitely needs a buff. It currently has the lowest damage primary in the game. There is nothing lower in terms of damage outstanding, and I feel like they kind of went down the melee narrative for this one as much as they did back then. When we take a look at the stun baton versus the axe has more damage, the lower the damage on the stun baton so that they can enable the stun factor. With this one, I feel like they've lowered the damage on the weapon itself to enable the factor of stun, but to be fair, the stun is barely noticeable. It definitely needs increasing, and there's a really weird way of looking at it. Essentially, the damage is completely underwhelming, which means that it's less than a standard AR, or even so, less damage than a standard SMG. But the way that the stun factors work are in light stun and heavy stun. The light stun affects around 1 second, the heavier stun applies around 5 seconds stun factoring. This is an AR that holds a light stun narrative, so when you are shooting this at enemies, you are getting about a 1 second stun delay point on this. It's definitely not as effective as it wants to be, and it's definitely not as effective considering they've given a damage decrease to an auto rifle, which should have packed a lot more of a punch. On top of that, when we look at other weapons and compare it, such as the Lib Concussive, Stagger is still a lot more effective. And not only that, but it has more damage, it has more in the magazine, and it's even a light penetrator. So obviously, yes, it does fire a lot slower than the Pacifier, but that doesn't warrant the loss in damage output for me personally, compared to all of the other statistics that they hold. This one was a bit of an L in my eyes, to be fair, and even while upgrading it, I didn't feel much of a difference to make this one a more warrantable one that you would want to use. It has the ability to be a lot better, that's for sure. Taking a look at the Arc Grenade Launcher. This grenade launcher I was so damn excited for. This thing is so inconsistent though. It has some very good features, such as the crowd control feature is probably the best thing that it's actually used for, but it has so many more cons than it does pros. Now, oddly, it does kill Bile Titans, but the damage output on other stuff is at sometimes completely non-existent. So the overall consistency of this is completely inconsistent. There's no damage towards things like Striders, really. It takes a lot longer to be able to do that level of damage, but you can take Bile Titans out in a full round of these arc grenades. On top of that, you cannot take out things such as Tesla towers or destroy bug holes with it, which for me, as far as a grenade launcher goes, even though it doesn't work on a damage factor and it works primarily on the stun and arc factor, it's still got a projectile. It's still a projectile that will cause an impact, and it should still do the job for things such as the Tesla tower or even the bug holes. But my biggest gripe upon this thing is that the reload time is so damn bad. The reload time on this takes so long to do, and you can manually watch yourself input each grenade into this thing. It takes absolutely ages. Other than that, though, it is absolutely great when it comes to that support character, and you're using it for the crowd control, running it through Voteless, or even on bugs. Wouldn't recommend this one for the bot sector personally, but on the bugs and illuminate sector, it does work very, very well for that crowd control feature as things are moving in massive, massive hordes. Overall, this is something I will use in the future, but will definitely, again, need some alterations to it to be able to make it a more viable option, unless they were going for that support character narrative. Next up, we've got the Arc Guard Dog. Now, this was one which I was really, really upset about. I was so excited for this Arc Guard Dog. Everybody knows that I absolutely adore running any of the Guard Dogs, even the laser, when it takes me out all the bloody time. I just love how fun that they are, that they fly around you, they follow you, they cause damage, and they support you as almost like an additional support network. Well, unfortunately for this thing, it is just not aggressive enough. We are currently running on a charge time of anything from around 5 to 7 seconds, which is by no means aggressive whatsoever. And yes, when you're playing, then 5 to 7 seconds feel like a lot longer. This is a problem because it is essentially the weakest of all of the guard dogs, because other things such as the laser, it runs consistently. The Liberator runs in a full magazine before it reloads. Even the gas dog is one of those where it will spray an entire horde and cause dot damage as well as much more all in one go. For me, this needs a massive overhaul, and the way that the actual Arc Dog works needs to be enhanced massively. The only thing that I did enjoy from this is the fact that the chain effect that it has from the Arc, because it is an Arc Thrower, not a Blitzer replica, means that it is chaining so many different enemies at one time. It is really, really good. Unfortunately, the damage output does not replicate the same way, therefore not really doing the same amount of damage in that time span. And if you're working at our 5 to 7 second radius, it means that you are not doing nowhere near enough to be able to make this a viable option to actually support you, even if you're running in a squadron. There are definitely many more viable options when it comes to the guard dogs than the Arc Dog, unfortunately. If they do work on this one though and decrease that charge up time on the weapon itself, this could become a very viable option, because the chain effects and the overall crowd control it holds is absolutely incredible. Next up, we have got the creme de la creme. This thing is my favorite of all, and unfortunately it's not even in the Warbond. We have got the Warrant pistol. Now, the Warrant pistol is available in the Superstore, but it's absolutely great. It seems to work really, really well. It packs a really good punch, and it seems to hit harder than the AR, which is making absolute zero sense to me at all. But the targeting is great on the guided movement to it, although it does miss if you are standing too close to your opponent and move around at the same time, almost like the spear does when you're trying to aim towards a charger. Sometimes it will go over the top of it. Motion is motion, man. You can't expect things to be flawless when it comes to tracking. Now, it does target the center of mass though, so it does deal slightly less damage than if you were to free arm it and you had a really good eye, because it won't aim for those crit shots. You will be aiming for the main target itself, and the center of mass generally is like the body, which is not going to be the headshot or shooting off any limbs. You are just going to be doing overall damage. Now, if you can get over that, then it's absolutely great. The main reason for that is, for me, it was great as an emergency weapon, which is what a secondary should really be. If I got stuck in a bit of a pickle trying to reload my primary or my support weapon, banging out the Warrant pistol and just quickly putting in a few rounds into your enemy made it really, really good. Now, it doesn't target absolutely anything. It does only target the lower leveled enemies, which I'm going to presume is because it won't really have an effect on much else. You can't target Hulks, you can't target the gunships that fly above, you can't target the Bio Titans. Overall, it's just a bit of a low level weapon aiming for low level enemies. If you can kind of run across the narrative of that's being how it is, then you will really enjoy this weapon a lot like I did. One little feature that I really did enjoy as well is that when you have it in the guided feature, if you run it in the first person mode, you still have the guided icon on your reticle, which was a really cool little feature that goes under missed. This for me is probably the most innovative thing that they've run inside of a Warbond for just a little while now, and I think that it's definitely a really good move in my eyes. But again, let me know what you guys are thinking via the comment section below. Now, quickly just to touch base on the grenade. The grenade for me was a bit of a underwhelming one, and it wasn't one that I really enjoyed using at all. It does have its perks of the G109 Urchin, but it is a bit of a weird one. Causes absolutely zero damage whatsoever, therefore not being able to close bug holes or deal any damage towards any fabricators means that it's a bit of a nightmare. The only downside to this is that it does just stun. Now, the reason why I find that so odd is because it only does what exactly a stun grenade does, and for me, other than sticking it to people, it doesn't really have much of a bonus other than that. It has a long stun effect, which means it does work really well against Hulks and even Chargers and so much more, but it does not affect your bigger enemies such as your Striders or your Bile Titans. This, for me, was a very, very good utilization, primarily on the automaton front and not so much on the bug or the illuminate front, mainly because Hulks come by in the masses and stick one of these things to it, and it just doesn't move for a decent amount of time, meaning that you can manage everything else or be able to get around the back of the Hulk to be able to hit the damage spot and get rid of it very, very quickly. Overall, the Urchin is okay, but it's very, very situational and probably isn't going to be one a lot of you guys will use very often. And now we're going to talk about the armor. So let's just quickly get past the factor that the drip factor on this is absolutely for sure there. Going down the Judge Dredd aisles or even taking a look into the shop of the Robocop, it looks absolutely incredible, and I can really appreciate what it was that they were going for with this one. Although for me personally, the passive doesn't really make any sense yet again. We saw this in the Masters of Ceremony Warbond, and they then ended up altering that later down the line. The ballistic padding is essentially just resistance to chest damage, bleeding if the chest hemorrhages, and resistance to explosive damage. For me, the reason why this makes no sense is the entire thing inside of this Warbond is revolved around the stun factor and arc remedy. Now, this does obviously try to replicate a Pacifier movement, so I get why they went for the ballistic padding, because, well, the police need to be safe, therefore having that extra padding on your chest, using like a vest or something, would definitely give you that. But with the way that they've organized this Warbond, you are pretty much wanting that stun resistance or an arc resistance to be able to counteract it. With things such as the stun pods, which are going off left, right, and center, or even having the arc dog and people pumbling around with the de-escalator arc grenade launcher, you are pretty much all over the shop with this thing right now, especially just out of the gates with launch. And I think as far as a build narrative going, I think that having some sort of anti-stun mechanic or a stun resistance or an arc resistance, which we do already have. So again, the stun resistance probably lent a bit more prevalent to me, would have made a lot more sense than maybe having the explosive damage resistance in there instead. That's just my 2 cents on it. It's very, very good against the automaton sector, although there are many more viable options, and not so good against the bugs or the squids. So that's my 2 cents on it. I like the way that it looks, and overall the armor passive works quite well for bots, but I just think that it was missing a trick with regards to the stun resistance. That's my honest opinion. Overall though, it really, really did surprise me. I was really enjoying the crowd control aspects, but really wasn't enjoying the underwhelming amount of damage that any of this stuff put out. It really had me on the fence and really had me at a point where I couldn't quite make my mind up as to whether I liked it or not during the live stream throughout majority of the day. Overall, I think that they've done a good job. They just need to tweak some things and make some alterations, and this could be one of a better end of the Warbond listing than, well, what we've seen in past. That's what we've got time for today, though. If you haven't already, smash that like button and subscribe with post notifications turned on. Thank you so much again for watching, guys, and hopefully you did enjoy this. Let me know your opinions of the Warbond in the comment section, and as always, I'll see you in the clouds.